What is good, guys? We're back for more with the one and only, the Eastern Assassin, Joe Politi. And he has somebody going by this house. But in any case, guys, the show must continue. Today I'm here because I need his advice. For young flyers out there, I know it's really difficult, especially when we're racing, how to know when to cut the tips of the flight feathers, how to know when to pull. Last year, I flew a natural system, and I did okay, but I feel like I could have done better if I would have used the strategies that you veterans always use. And so I've come over here. He's willing to give me the system that works best for him. Now, do people or other flyers have things that work, a little differently for them? Yes, but this is the way the Eastern Assassin does it. And everybody's gonna have their own little slight different thing that they do, but this is what works for you. This is what the system that works for him. And before this, behind the scenes, we were talking about, we were talking about the fact that we want to work smarter, not harder. And that he's going to explain to you in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of let him do his thing and kind of, explain to you guys what we do here when it comes to this. But there is a system involved here, and it's important for all you guys to know out there. All right, so... Yeah. So I brought some of my birds, okay, so you can kind of help us out and explain to us, what to do. What do you recommend first to do? And what should I say? I should bring that back. As far as your system goes, how do you go? Do you, we have different rounds of birds that we have. So we do a first round of young ones, then we do a second round. How do you work that? Like, when you decide you want to cut the tips?
The easiest way, what I found, a lot of the fellas, they do basically the same thing, but they do it's all different. Like with me, I used to put my first round in there, and then at a certain point, I would wait for them to drop a tip.
Okay.
And then once they drop a tip, then I would cut the 9th and the 10th tip.
Okay.
Okay, and then 14 days later, I would pull the tip, and I would pull the center 6 tail feathers.
The center 6 tail feathers, okay.
And then I used to do it again when I put my second round in there. But it's just too much work. For me, it's too much work. So what I do is, I wait till my second round after I put them in.
Okay, so the second round.
Right. When the second round drops a tip or two, then I cut all the tips.
Gotcha.
The 9th and the 10th tips for the first and second round. This way I do everything one time instead of 2 times. It's hard to catch if you have 80, 90 birds. It's hard to catch them, especially for me.
Right. So the key is to create less work for yourself. Yeah. Work harder, work smarter, not harder. Right. Okay, so that's a veteran tip there, guys, for my young flyers that are out there.
And because we're letting the birds out later now because of the hawks and everything, it just works. For me, it works out because after I pull the 9th and the 10th tips, and those tips start coming out again for them, then I start letting my birds out, and it's easier. They don't go far. They don't. Well, I hope that they don't get lost, but they some do.
It's less likely because they're not as strong on the wing.
Because they don't have the feathers.
Gotcha. So they're less likely to take off and get lost.
Right.
Gotcha. That's a great strategy. Yeah. I think thank you so much for sharing that.
But I'll show you like an easy way to do the tips.
Excellent. And I brought a little marker also just in case, so we can kind of like actually show them, because guys, I don't even know how to cut, like how far to cut the tips. And I don't even know, the strategy in regards to how long to wait. And so, like, he'll go over that, and I think we brought one of my white homers so you guys can really see. And I think that's going to be great. So I guess we can get right into it. So on the second round...
once my second round comes in,
okay,
and they drop the tips.
Gotcha.
They drop their first and second tip, possibly.
Tip? Okay. So you say first or second tip, but the far primary tip, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the first ones are going to probably have three or more tips out by the time
the first round.
The second round does it.
Got it.
It just works okay for me, I
understand.
I can't complain.
I understand.
But what I do, the easiest way when you cut the tips, I just grab the feather like this, the wing like this, and just about this much. It looks about maybe 2.5 inches.
2.5 inches. Let me see if
I would cut right there.
Okay.
Right, and then I do it to all the birds in the loft in that section, and 14 days later, I'd pull the tip, but I'd hold the pigeon like this against my body, because you don't really like to
Well,
pinch.
You don't want to pinch that area,
the follicle, right? That you just pull the feather out.
Gotcha.
When you pull them, because sometimes you could damage it, and it might come out twisted, or just bad, you know.
Right.
And then what I'll do is that after I pull the tips, I go to the tail. I go count 1, 2, 3. Right on the one side. Then I'd go on this side. I go 1, 2, 3. I'd hold them together, and then I would just pull the middle 6 feathers. I would just pull them out at once. There, one came out right now.
Okay, that's funny. So just the center,
Yeah, the center. But some guys pull the tips completely. But then you know what happens? Being that you're pulling the tips, you pull in the 9th and the 10th tip. Then if you're pulling the whole tail feather, and you have, let's say you have 60, 70, 80, 90 birds. Some of those birds aren't going to be able to get up into the perches. Right. You're going to have a bunch of birds on the floor.
Right. That makes sense. Stop right there, Joe. Why are we cutting tips? Well, cutting the 9th and the 10th flight feathers gives the birds an advantage in heavy winds, short distances, middle and long distance races. How, you ask? It happens by fast-forwarding the natural process of the bird's losing its 2 most important feathers that ultimately compromise speed and endurance. Biologically, when the pigeon starts the molting process and the 9th and the 10th tip have regrown, it signals to the anatomy of the bird that the last 2 tips no longer need to be molted, thus skipping forward the process and making it easy and painless. Now let's get back to it. Oh, that makes sense.
And that's not good. Yeah.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. Okay, so okay, that's that. So let me just I could just take a look one more time at that where you would cut. So just those
I would cut
2.
right there.
Okay, just in that section.
Just about 2.5 inches.
Okay, right in that section there, 2.5 inches, and then
where my thumb is.
And then we're waiting 14 days. Okay, very good.
Then you could pull the 9th and the 10th, and it'll come out so easily. Some guys, we're just cutting off. But why? What's the difference?
Gotcha.
If you got the birds, you don't have the birds out, you're not flying. Cut them there, and this way there's a better chance that the feather will dry out.
Okay, then that's the strategy.
Yeah.
So the strategy.
And it comes out easier too.
And it comes out, and it doesn't really hurt the bird. Okay,
right.
So that's the strategy for cutting it in advance.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. It keeps it from. Well, it makes it a lot easier to come out, and it doesn't hurt the bird as much.
Some people might, think they don't like how I do it, but it works. So why break it if it's not broken?
Right.
You know? Fix it if it's not broken.
No, that makes sense. And this is what works for you.
Yeah.
Somebody might say this works best for them, but obviously you're a winner. You've been winning with these type of strategies. You know what I mean? I get it.
Yeah.
So all right. So now here's another question I have. I brought along this bird right here. This bird in particular was the parents stopped feeding it. Okay, they were basically feeding the other nestmate instead of this one, and so it went through a lot of a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And now it didn't molt in right. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, what would you recommend with a bird that doesn't molt in right properly? Do you think it's for racing pigeons? It's a good strategy to still keep it, or should you discard it?
Well, I wouldn't keep it, but you could see right now these are all fret marks.
Okay. Stop one more time. Fret. You use that word fret. What is fret? I've never heard of that in my life. Well, guys, I find out exactly what it means. All right. So stress causes the body to produce cortisone, which decreases the activity of the thyroid gland and retards the growth of new feathers, as well as interferes with actual feather development, leading to fret marks. Fret marks occur as a result of temporary interference with feather follicle function, such as missing a meal or experiencing cold temperatures, and can also indicate a more long-term problem, such as a basic nutritional deficiency. Each fret mark indicates a period when the bird's health was not optimal. Ideally, pigeons should complete its molt within 8 weeks of starting the body molt. All right, Joe, let's keep it moving.
And these were when these feathers were coming in, and it was just malnourished.
It was malnourished.
Yeah.
So it went through a time that it was malnourished. Okay.
You never know. Like shit, this bird might molt out beautifully if it's if it turns out to be the goose that laid the golden egg. But
gotcha.
I wouldn't have kept it. But if it's bred like a really good pigeon, I would just keep it on the side if you have room.
If you have room.
I don't really have the room.
Gotcha. All right. So your recommendation is put it to the side.
Health-wise, the body feels nice and strong.
Okay.
But it was the runt of the litter.
Yeah, he needs to be molted. Yeah. No, definitely needs to be molted. In regards to ways that we can help with the molt, what do you recommend as far as better ways that we can help with molting?
Well, you got to make sure that you always have good vitamins. Vitamins are important. And minerals.
Vitamins and minerals are important.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You mix different minerals with.
How about oils?
With oil.
Oils are good also.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any oil, like one oil that you recommend?
I use the vitamin oil from Vitaking.
Okay.
But even garlic oil, any oil.
Okay.
But too much oil, it's a lot of fat in it, and if you give them a lot of oil, sometimes the birds get a little pudgy.
Okay, so you have to be careful with too much oil. Okay,
yeah.
so all right, so all right, that's good to know. All right, so oils are okay to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful. Okay. What about you're also saying minerals and vitamins, and minerals. Would you say a powdered multivitamin as well as the mineral?
Like Vitapreme.
Vitapreme. Okay, so you're giving a recommendation for Vitapreme.
And I always mix probiotics with it.
Okay, so probiotics with the Vitapreme.
They need the probiotics.
Okay, baths. What would you say as far as baths? They help with the molt as well.
It's nice to give them a bath every week.
Every week. All right.
Yeah.
So
so if you give them a bath every day, they're not going to go in. They're not going to take a bath every day.
Right. You'll get some days they won't, some days they will. Okay, I see what you're saying. So once a day, if you do it once a week, most likely they'll all take the bath.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really, really important. Bath, there are some conditioning bath salts you could put in the water.
Yeah.
Do you recommend those?
Yeah, I use them.
You do use them, okay.
Yeah, they have all different kinds. Some of them turn yellow, some of them turn green.
Interesting, okay.
And some people just put white vinegar. In there, and really? It cleans the scale off the birds.
Interesting.
Oh,
that's good to know. That is very, very good to know. So there is some type of natural lighting system that people put them on to help accelerate the molt. What exactly is that?
Well, we put the birds on the lights, the young bird loft, and like the same as the breeder loft. The breeder loft, the lights might go on at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And they'll stay on till like almost 2 o'clock in the morning.
Almost 2 o'clock.
And then I put the same lights on the young bird loft.
Gotcha.
And then in June, once you take the pigeons off the lights, then they'll start, the birds that are not finished molting, they'll fall apart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, they'll fall apart. They'll lose all of those body feathers.
So, and when is that? What is the time that we check?
That's like anywhere from June 1st to June 21st.
June 1st.
Those and the 21st is the longest day
of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good way to base it on.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good. All right, so that's pretty good. I think I got a good understanding. All right, I got a good understanding as far as like how to go about starting this. So I'm gonna wait for my second round, which I already have. Okay, we're pretty much almost about to be on their own now. I'm I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna cut the two tips, or am I pulling tails first before I cut the two tips, or I could do it all at one time?
After you cut the tips, I wait till when I pull the 9th and the 10th.
Okay.
Then I pull the tail, the middle tail feathers.
Got it.
That's
okay,
what I do.
Okay, so
but other guys do,
first,
a lot of guys do something different.
Gotcha, Gotcha. Okay, but that's the system that you've been using that's been working best for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that this year, and I think I'm gonna be at a better advantage just for doing that.
Yeah.
Because I've had, from my experience, guys, last year, I mean, my birds were coming in late, but yeah, they were missing their 8th or 7th tip, and I can't expect them to have the same type of performance as one of your birds, And
then sometimes with all of that stuff that we do, something surprises you. You got a couple of late hatches that you have in there, and you say, "What am I going to do? Keep them in here? I'll just throw them in with the other birds." And son of a gun, you end up clocking a bird that you did nothing completely what we're doing.
That is
ends up doing something.
That is unbelievable. No, that's,
years ago, nobody even did any systems and did stuff like that, and the best pigeons were March hatches.
March hatches
And April hatches, and they would win fraternities.
Unbelievable! Wow, I never knew that. That's incredible. So yeah, because I know that most of the time you want to have your birds pretty much as January 1st hits.
Yeah.
You want to already have them pretty much ready to go, ready to be banded. So so you're saying that there's been success in late hatches. So don't give up on the late hatches.
No, and it's funny. Years ago, everybody forgets all these really great flyers that were around through the years. When I started flying pigeons, there was a loft, landing view, a C&H loft, Jerry Acerno. These are old-time flyers that murdered everybody, and they just flew all this natural stuff. They never did any of this stuff.
Interesting. Interesting. Just straight natural.
Yeah.
And was there any way that you could know? And did they fly also late hatches too?
They flew everything. These guys were some flyers. It was unbelievable.
And nobody knows their system.
They were just doing. Other guys. Some guys. Guys were doing dark system years ago. They used to just darken the loft, but now they have a 5-tip rule, so you can't fly the darkening system.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's out the door. You can't do that anymore.
It's out the door.
Back in the day, people used to do that. Okay.
Well, I'm sure people are doing it, but they have a 5-tip rule now. But our birds will always drop past the 5 tips.
Right, by then. So that's pretty interesting. So you recommend the lighting system? You do like that?
Yeah, the lights. You need the lights.
You need the lights.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many hours do you recommend?
Well, how many hours is that? That's like from 7:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the morning. And like this year, it's we changed the clock at the time. So now it's 2:30 in the morning. My lights stay on.
Wow.
I didn't change the timers.
Okay.
I'm a little lazy.
I didn't do that. I didn't do that either. I didn't do it. I just noticed it last night. I was like, my God, 3 o'clock in the morning. My lights are still on. They used to go off at 2. So I get what you're saying though. But I'm sure they could do the math. That would be what, 7? You said 7 in the morning? Yeah.
Well, right before I like them to start getting natural daybreak.
Natural daybreak, right?
Yeah.
You want them to
and some guys like it to be differently. They put the lights on early in the morning. But I like that when I go in the coop in the morning, I give them all their fresh water and everything. And everything's fresh for them when I go in there in the morning.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I mean, it really is. I mean, I see what you're saying, and I am a little different, guys. I do the evening, so my lights go on at 4 in the evening, and they go off at 2 in the morning. So I'm not using that.
So how many hours is that?
So that would be, I think, 16 hours.
All right. Well, and I think mine is about 18 hours.
18 hours. So and there are people that do 24 hours, right? They leave them on.
Yeah, some guys do that too.
So it really just depends on how you want to do this, or how much electricity you want to use.
Yeah, that's it.
But I like the range that you gave us.
Yeah.
You said between June 1st.
Yeah, June 1st to June 21st.
June 21st. All right, that's a great gauge, guys, for the lighting system to know when to pull the lights and shut them off. So I mean, I think you answered a lot of the questions that I had personally as a new flyer, a new racing flyer, And I just want to say thank you again, Joe Politi. I mean, you are you're amazing. You know at what you do, and I'm sure this stuff you've changed. You've changed. When you've changed the system that you're telling me from when you first started, because I'm sure you were doing it a little differently. So, 40 years later, here you are giving me your system or your recipe that works best for you now. So I want to thank you for that. And guys, keep living and learning. Make sure you get yourself a good mentor, someone who you can actually look up to, and make sure he's a winner. All right. On behalf of myself, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Joe Politi, you're the man. Sometimes I screw up when I see your name. It's Politi, guys. Don't forget it. All right. The Eastern Assassin. We'll see you again. That's it. That's it. That was very good. Take care.
Salami was my grandmother and grandfather.
It's pretty wild.
We lived on 417 East 74th Street.